House Democrats issued another subpoena yesterday, this time to Energy Secretary Rick Perry. This follows the president's claims that Perry was the one who asked him to speak with the president of Ukraine.
The comments come from a conference call with the House members last week to discuss concerns about the impeachment inquiry.
For more on this now, we want to bring in Alayna Treene, who first broke the story. She covers the White House and national politics for Axios and is joining us now from D.C. So give us some background on this. What are Perry's ties to Ukraine?
So Rick Perry, the president's energy secretary, has long before even the current Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky, stepped into power, he's been working with Ukraine to really beef up their energy independence, particularly from Russia. But over the course of this past year, Rick Perry was someone who actually led the U.S. delegation to Ukraine for President Zelensky's inauguration in May and has met with Ukrainian officials several times over the past few months about energy security and energy independence in the region. But the reason that a lot of House Democrats involved in investigating the president and that now infamous Ukraine call on July 25th, they want Rick Perry to come in and also provide documents about his conversations with Ukrainian officials, whether he's influenced any of them potentially into having this call or pressuring this call with the president, and what the pretext of that call was.
So, given that the so-called transcript that the White House released is at best incomplete, there were ellipses all over the place. It was a 30-minute phone call. What we received was not 30 minutes. Are you aware, your sources indicating to you, that Rick Perry or anything related to Rick Perry was brought up during the president's phone call with Zelensky?
So from my sources, definitely, and Rick Perry's spokeswoman, Shaylin Hines, told me that Rick Perry had encouraged the president to speak with President Zelensky about energy independence. But in the relation to that July 25th call, with regard to which Democrats are, of course, really interested in, is whether the president was pressuring the Ukrainian president to look into Joe Biden and into corruption. There's no mention in some of these text messages that were released in the lead up to the call between people like Rudy Giuliani and different. Rudy Giuliani was a big figure in this, as well as one of Ukraine's top officials. There's no mention that Rick Perry had actually pushed for the call or pressed for the call or was one of the key figures in making the call happen. The reason that that is to believed is because President Trump himself last week told Republican leaders that Rick Perry was the one who had pressured him to call Zelensky.
So, you know, when we heard the president say, you know, it's Rick Perry's fault, Vlad and I were talking, and we were sort of saying, geez, Rick Perry is one of the few people within the cabinet that has really sort of escaped the president's criticism and ire, and he's really been flying below the radar. Like, we really haven't heard anything from him at all. And then suddenly the president kind of dusts him off to point the finger at him. How significant is it that the president was pinning it on Perry? Say that 3 times fast. President pinning it on Perry.
Yes. A lot of people I spoke with, including people on the Hill, people close to the president. I mean, one frequent phrase was, wow, he's really throwing Rick Perry under the bus here. And that's kind of what it looks like. He did say, I mean, from one of my sources who was listening onto that call last week, he told me that, to his knowledge, it went something like, the president said, you know, I didn't even want to make this call. Rick was the one who made me have this call, something about liquefied natural gas in Ukraine. And so a lot of people were like, why is he trying to pin this on Rick Perry? Where is his involvement here? And it is true. He has really avoided a lot of controversy as one of few Trump administration officials who have done that, cabinet officials, throughout his tenure in the Trump administration. And he is supposed to be resigning before the end of the year. And this is, as a lot of people said, not the best way to make an exit.
No.
So, as you know, he's been subpoenaed, Rick Perry has, by the House. How might he be able to help or perhaps hinder the investigation?
So what a lot of the House Democrats investigating the president and Ukraine want from Rick Perry, from people I've spoken with, is they want any of the conversations that he's had with Ukrainian officials. A lot of it relates back to whether Rick Perry was potentially pressuring the Ukrainian government to work with certain American allies and advisors on this with Russia's or with Ukraine's state-owned gas company. And a lot of people think there could have been some pressure there that potentially made them feel like they had to agree to whatever President Trump had asked him to on that call. That's part of it. Others are conversations leading up to the July 25th call, and others communications relate to his trip back in May when he went for the inauguration and what conversations happened there. A lot of it is surrounding how much did the Ukrainian government think that they owed America or owed the Trump administration leading up to this call.
And we should say that Rick Perry has said that he never asked the president to talk about the Bidens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, he did. He said, I believe it was something as God is my witness. He said on the Christian Broadcasting Network that he never had Joe Biden or his son Hunter Biden's name come up in a conversation with the Ukrainian leaders.
All right. Alayna Treene, as always, we appreciate your time and we appreciate your reporting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.